Well, this month marks 40 years since three explorers from Minnesota did something no one else in the world had done. Will Steger and his team dog-sledded all the way to the North Pole unsupported. It took them almost 2 months, and at one point the temperature hit below 74 degrees below zero. Heidi Wigdahl has more on the unprecedented expedition and how it still shapes their lives today.
In Ely, Minnesota, there's a spirit of adventure, a place forever connected to the top of the world.
The pole had never been done unsupported, and everybody said it was impossible. I really realized I could do that.
40 years ago, from his cabin outside of Ely, Will Steger set out to make history.
For myself, it was definitely a real monumental beginning of what I really wanted to do with my life.
Come on, come on.
Paul Shirkey came on board
Good dog, Charlie Brown.
to co-lead the expedition.
That's enough. These amazing four-legged friends of ours, these Canadian Inuit dogs that power our business here and powered our expedition to the North Pole.
Ann Bancroft, a Minneapolis elementary school teacher at the time, became one of the final members to join and the third Minnesotan.
At the time, I'm like, oh, they're not going to take me. I'm not qualified enough. And I thought, well, if I don't try, I'll never forgive myself, because this was my childhood dream of going to the top of the world on the back of a dog sled. I thought, 7 guys, not so sure about that one, but hey, I would have been fine if they said no. I would have gone on with my life. But that trip changed everything for me.
It was a homespun expedition. All of Minnesota got involved in it. We were in the papers all the time.
On March 8, 1986, the 8-member team set out on what would become a 55-day journey to the North Pole.
We had 5 sleds. Each sled carried 1,700 pounds of food, and we left at 72 below zero. I mean, it was just like brutal. Ice ridges, 30, 40 feet high that we had to chop. It was a typical project I would take on.
We had limited communication. If something went wrong, there were slim chances we could ever be rescued. And there were many days when that was weighing heavily on our hearts. And then the next day, the weather would break free and clear. There wouldn't be any concerns about polar bears again. We would hit good sea ice. We could start making miles, and suddenly all was right with the world, and we were at the top of our game. It was a wild, crazy ride emotionally. I never expected that, but it was very empowering that way.
We were doing 18-hour days at the end, and we were really starved down. The other people had never, really been starved. I've experienced it before.
During the journey, 2 members were injured and needed to be airlifted out.
It was physically absolutely grueling, but we all stuck to it.
On May 1st, 1986, the Steger International Polar Expedition made history with the first confirmed unsupported expedition to the North Pole.
It was kind of doing almost the impossible. It was no certainty until the moment we got there, and even then we didn't know if we had made it.
It was absolute ecstasy. It was our warmest day of the trip. It was 8 above zero. We hit 74 below on one of the days out there. Many of the days were 50 and 60 below. The dogs were howling. They knew something had happened. We fed them up with little extra food we had, and they were happy as clams too. And it was just a remarkably joyous experience to be standing at the point around which the planet spins.
A place they found themselves at by sextant. The instrument helps navigators measure the angle between the horizon and a celestial body like the sun or moon. Every unsupported expedition after has been done using GPS.
It was a time like no other.
Anne became the first known woman to reach the top of the world by sled and on foot.
To actualize my 10-year-old girl dream is also something that, wow, what a privilege. It was Paul who said, we were maybe 5 days from the pole. You've got to get ready, because it's going to be crazy when you return. I remember thinking, I don't know what you're talking about.
Always wanted to do it first, but I didn't know that there were any left.
It's always good to come back to Minnesota. It was a moment of our lives.
40 years ago, none of us on the North Pole team had any idea what would all spin out of this.
Paul, along with his wife Sue, own Wintergreen Dog Sled Lodge in Ely.
Everybody on that team, I think, would agree that experience was so powerful, it just set the stage for the rest of our lives.
That was our launching pad in so many ways.
For Anne, it helped launch her nonprofit, the Anne Bancroft Foundation.
We give grants to girls in Minnesota to try something new, an experience, trying to ignite the courage that exists in them, the potential.
And for Will,
I had no idea how long it would take. I just started building it.
it led to where he is 40 years later,
It's almost finished now.
finishing the Steger Center, a place that will bring leaders together to help solve seemingly unsolvable problems.
I knew that the world would open up to me if I made the pole. and it did.
Because we got there.
I've never experienced anything of that magnitude since, and I think that's part of the draw that has kept us bound to that experience all these 40 years later.
An experience that put them on top of the world.
Historical Society this June for a week of special programming at the Minnesota History Center that celebrates Steger's accomplishments, including that 1986 expedition. More information will be released on their website in the months ahead. And as dramatic as this expedition was, it is not the only legacy Steger hopes to leave. He's been building what some may call an architectural gem near Ely, Minnesota. It's an off-the-grid center he hopes will attract people from all over the world to discuss and solve some of our biggest problems. And you can hear more on this and Will Steger's life in a special KARE 11 documentary set to air this Saturday at 6:30 p.m.
So just a fabulous job on that story, Heidi. And I have to know, it looks like they flew back once they hit the poles, a plane came and got them?
Yes, and it's interesting you guys were asking about that because I had some confusion because I kept seeing, was it May 1st, was it May 2nd? And I was asking Ann, you know, when exactly did you actually, and she said, well, the reason why there was some confusion there is because it was done by sextant. They were taking readings every single hour.
Okay.
And they had to wait 24 hours, and then once that happened, then they knew and they celebrated.
Oh,
that they were there.
That they were there.
They were actually there.
Yeah.
Because
Like, I
otherwise
think
they
we
wouldn't
are.
know that they
Yeah.
were, is this piece of ice the top of the
Right,
world?
right.
There was
Yeah.
no sign there.
There's
let's
no
say.
sign. Yeah, it doesn't say North Pole exactly.
Oh, I love that. I
really
love them
remarkable.
standing there with that American
Yeah.
flag. And we've been so proud of their legacy as Minnesotans for so long. So I can't wait for the special starting tomorrow on KARE 11 Plus.
Yes, it will be streaming at 7:30 and 9:30 p.m. on KARE 11 Plus.
And then Saturday at
And
6:30.
Saturday 6:30 on air.
On KARE 11.
Yeah.
Really worth watching.
Fabulous.
Thank you, Heidi.
Yep.